live. We're doing well here tonight. Today's episode on Fire Your Boss, we're going to be talking about ways to grow a side hustle or a small business. My name is George Bruno. I'm a marketing guy. I have a lot of stuff going on in my life, various streams of income. And gentlemen, go for it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Frank Aaron, formerly bankrupt tractor-trailer driver back in 1996, who finally figured out a way to make six figures plus a year online. I've been teaching and doing that ever since. And I am partners with my friend here, Dan Jones, aka Jonesy, in our latest effort, conversionchemistry.com. Good to be here, everybody.
Glad you're with us. And I am Jonesy, as Frank introduced me. Thanks for having me on, George. I am Dan T-Bone Jones, Jonesy, the Entrepreneur Catalyst. We're going to call it the Entrepreneur Catalyst now. I'm going to give that one a shot. Who am I? Well, I'm a guy that for 20-some years spent time working for employers when I shouldn't have been. A few years ago, I unshackled myself, became a full-time entrepreneur, and within the first 18 months, I created not one, not two, but 3 six-figure LLCs. And we are working on the 4th with Frank and with George with Conversion Chemistry.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. Well, today is how to build your side hustle or small business. I didn't want to do a lot of executive kind of talk. I'm talking to the guy who has a driveway ceiling business, a guy who power washes houses and decks and does garden work for people. Small business side hustles, weekend side hustles. And we're going to talk about very big marketing principles and how they can apply to even the smallest side hustle, side gig. So the first is the host-beneficiary relationship. That is defined as a host would be a large organization where someone joins it and is making money. For instance, if you've ever gone to Home Depot, there's a guy that's got a little hot dog cart outside of Home Depot. Home Depot is the host. The hot dog cart guy is the beneficiary. So he's finding a company that's already doing something. He's not opening up a store. He's wheeling a hot dog cart in front of Home Depot. Whether he gives Home Depot a cut of what he makes, I don't know. But I know he's not employed by Home Depot. When you go into BJ's or Sam's Club, there's opticians, there's food courts, there's smoothie bars. If you go into a gym, many times you see a smoothie bar, you see a sandwich bar. That's not part of the gym. The gym, the larger business is the host, and the smaller business is the beneficiary. So let's talk about that. What is your understanding of host-beneficiary relationships, and what kind have you seen? Frank.
Well, for example, I've seen people use, and this is in the digital marketing arena. Somebody has a list, an established list already, and they can have somebody come in and say, hey, you know what? I can have an added service or an added, my material has an added benefit to your people. So the host will be the person with the big list, a good relationship with his audience. He's trusted. He or she is liked and respected. And then it's like a value-added bonus. Maybe, you know, the person teaching says, hey, you need a good website. That's one of the first things you need. But you know what? I don't do that. I can show you where to get it done, and that is done through my good friend, Dan Jonesy Jones, for example. That would be a host.
Right.
You know, person with the big list to be the host, is the way I would put it. And the beneficiary, Smiling Dan over there. And the customer. The customer benefits the most, because if I can trust person A, and person A recommends me to person B as a vendor, and I can trust person B, hopefully as much as I can trust person A. And everybody wins. The customer also wins by this kind of a relationship. In other words, why do I want to go out and figure out how to design a website? Why do I want to go hunting down on Fiverr and this and that? George, you tell me Dan Jones is the guy. Jonesy's the guy. I go to him. That's all I need to know. So it's really almost a tripod or a triangle, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a guy that has one of these handheld vacuum, big kind of things. It looks like a giant snowblower, and he does the parking lot of the shopping center across the street from my house. He is there at 6 in the morning, just going back and forth in the parking lot, picking up bottle caps and junk and stuff. And he keeps the parking lot pristine, but he's there before the store even opens. He is the beneficiary. The management team that owns the shopping center is the host. Both are making money.
And in a sense, they need each other in that example.
Yes.
I mean, I love Wawa, but when I go to the fuel pump sometimes, I'm like, dude, do they just have a frat party here? There's crap everywhere. And I love Wawa, by the way. I'm not a Sheetz person. I'm a Wawa person.
Yeah.
But perhaps they need a little bit of a guy like that to come around 6 o'clock in the morning too.
Sure.
Give me your guy's card. I'll send him over to Wawa next.
Yeah. Jonesy, what do you think? Host-beneficiary relationship.
Yeah. So I kind of want to bring it back to brick and mortar, which is, the first sort of paradigm I think of with that, which is you go to Target, there's a Starbucks there. And, Target being the host and the Starbucks being the beneficiary, they get to peddle their ware in someone else's domain, and thus exposing them to that captive audience while they're there. The shoppers, I think they're guests, right? Guests at Target. They get to now shop with a frappe in their hand, grande frappe right in their hand. McDonald's and Walmart's or whatever. That's those type of small concessions within a larger store have existed, ever since I can remember. And sure, that's on a massive scale for big companies. What's that mean for boots on the ground entrepreneurs? No different than girls selling Girl Scout cookies out front of a local restaurant or local retailer, right? It's the same principle.
Yeah, that's a great example. Great example. We see that every year with the Girl Scouts setting up in front of just about every store. Absolutely. In my neighborhood, there's a fellow that has a small power washer. And what he does, he goes from house to house, power washing people's trash cans, the insides. Because, the trash cans stink. There's always like some yucky juice at the bottom of every trash can. He takes no more than a minute to power wash and empty out every trash can on trash day. He does it once a week. Charges, I believe, $3 a can, that type of thing. So once a week, you got a can and a recycling can. So he's charging $6. People will either give him the $6 or they give him a tip and they'll just give him a $10 bill, that kind of thing. Now, that little business, and there's probably 250 houses in my development, he's going to do well. He's going to do well because who the heck wants to hose out their garbage cans? All right, so the guy's going to do okay. He's a young guy. Now, when it comes to host-beneficiary relationships, how could he apply the concept of host-beneficiary relationships to his fledgling business? What do you think?
Well, maybe a landscaper, for example, somebody in a similar but different field. Dog walkers, maybe. In other words, if he knows the people already, who else can he team up with? Power washing. Why does he get a bigger power wash and power wash everybody's house once a year too? He's already got the customer base and the loyalty.
Yeah, because the power washing trash cans, that's kind of like the gateway drug to his bigger services.
Yeah, the gateway drug. I love you, George. Absolutely, man. Because I'm looking at my house, gorgeous house, but the north side of it, it gets green fuzz on the siding, this funky fuzz. So I got a guy coming to do that here next couple of weeks. He's trimming down some trees for us, weeding my front garden, planting some trees. I don't have time for it, man. This guy's my hero. And DJ on the side. That's how we found him. He was a DJ at my kid's school, and every year he'd be there just DJing away. And so my wife met him, and because we already trusted him as a DJ, that naturally translates into planting trees and chopping down trees and power washing my house. But I trust the guy. That's the thing. And on a power washing, again, he could do cleanup, junk removal, things like that, or he could find somebody and say, hey, every referral I get for you for junk removal, you know, bucks. And for a long day. Imagine if I was, hmm? This was
Yeah.
10 in the morning, I'd have 20 more suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Top that, Jonesy.
Well, I don't know if I could top that, but my mind is going in the direction of upsells, right? This nice little $3 low ticket offer. Am I getting feedback? Is that me?
It's either that or you got Jimi Hendrix in the room there with you. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, I mean, Jimmy's always with us.
He is in
I'm
my
not sure
heart
what's going
too.
on there. Maybe I'll try turning this down a little bit. So I'm thinking, that's the gentleman's low ticket offer is going around, pounding pavement, knocking on doors, offering that pressure $3 pressure wash on the trash cans. He could sell a subscription. I'll come around once a week for X amount of dollars for 6 months. He can spray paint the cans with the house number if it's not already been done for a couple bucks. One thing I always do with my trash cans is drill holes in the bottom so it doesn't get all the garbage funk buildup. So
The juicy
between
juice.
that and the pressure washing, he can just turn that into a $10 sale. While like you guys had already said, it's kind of building up his credibility. All right, he's a young dude, and pressure washing somebody's house, it takes a skill. It takes a certain amount of trust because you don't want somebody blasting the paint off your siding. So if he can
Right.
prove himself out on this really easy low ticket offer, this quick job, then he's going to set the tone for everything else Frank had talked about, which is pressure washing houses, fences, driveways, junk removal. I mean, I would even say if he's willing to do that kind of stuff, offer weeding, mulching, and you can build it up on a case by case basis depending on that landowner, the homeowner's needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think because he's already got the in and he's already a trusted entity, he could offer them anything after a few weeks. Like they trust him. They might be giving him the keys to a garden shed or something like that to put away the trash cans. So he's a trusted entity, which means that if he doesn't offer gardening service, he better become friends with a gardener who's looking for business and take a small cut from that.
Well, George, it's funny that you say that because when I was a kid, in New Jersey, I had a 7 day a week paper route, right? So people came to me and said, hey, Frankie, you do a good job delivering newspapers. You ever want to cut grass? And I had customers that I mowed their lawns. I got my first job out of high school from this one lady in New Jersey. She said, hey, what are you doing after you graduate? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I really don't want to go to college right away. I'm still figuring out what I want to do. I'm used to making this paper route money, back in 1980, 1980, 81, 79, man, I was making 100, 150 bucks a week as a newspaper carrier. That was good money then,
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, what do you want to do? I've got a stock boy job in a department store. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything else. And it's more money. Let me try that. And I worked my way up from there. And that's the exact thing we're talking about here. Trusted
Yeah.
vendor, trusted resource,
Yeah.
that type of a thing. So it worked out really well for me. And it worked out for everybody. I did a good job mowing those lawns. You take pride in your work and people see that,
I just got to
It's
stop
fun.
and read this comment here from Dennis Newton. Combine power washing with visits to lonely housewives during the day. Power washing gigolo.
There's a possibility that I had thought of back when I was younger, but never carried through with that. Absolutely.
Oh boy, that's pretty funny. I like the idea of being kind of like the clearinghouse for home services. If he introduced himself to a house painter, to a landscaper, if he introduced himself to a handyman who just like fixes leaky faucets, or an electrician, he knows everybody. He's been to their houses. He could be washing out a trash can and a homeowner comes out and says to him, hey, do you happen to know anyone that hangs doors or can do a deck or something like that? Or being that you're power washing, do you power wash decks? So there's a possibility there.
So, George, let me ask you this. How did this particular young gentleman decide this is what he wants to do? When did he decide that that's going to be his hustle?
This
And how did
just
that come
started.
about? Okay.
It just
But
started a month.
what triggered that? You know, when I'm at that age, the last thing I want to do is work. Even though I like money, the last thing I want to do is work.
It's just started about a month and a half ago, so he's about 6 weeks into it. And there are some hustlers in my neighborhood. Like there's a bunch of boys who are the snow shoveling boys. It doesn't matter if there's 3 foot or 1 foot. These guys are there, and they will attack a driveway and get it done in 30 minutes. What would take me 3 hours to do, and get the snow at the end of the driveway, which is always 3 foot high.
Right.
Like for me, it's a whole night. For them, 30 minutes. They attack it in 30 minutes. They get my sidewalks and my full driveway done. And that mountain at the end of my driveway is gone. It's nice. And they are gone in 30 minutes, and I give them $40. And they're as happy as can be.
We have that in our neighborhood too. All the boys are, like the junior high and late grade school kids. They're all doing that now. It snows, and before you even know it, they're shoveling your driveway. And I don't miss those days. Yeah, when I was younger, it was a good workout. Now I don't have time for it, and I don't want to do it.
That's right. That's right.
So a side hustle. I mean, you can easily make with what that guy is doing there, George. What would you say he could make just from, would you say, 250 houses? Was it in your neighborhood times $6 a week?
Yeah.
That's not bad money at all, man.
When you do the math, that's not bad money.
No.
Now, obviously, he has to have insurance, some kind of business insurance in case he damages something. That's important, some kind of liability issue, but that's not an issue. Once he gets that done, maybe get some business cards. And this is the kind of business where you just knock on the door and introduce yourself.
Yeah. It's not a
Yeah,
lot
get him
of
to reach out to me. I've got this whole monetization plan worked out now. He's also going to carry around flyers because he's going to partner with some real estate buyers and then ask every homeowner that he talks to if they're willing to sell their house, thus becoming a referral bird dog for the real estate people. And he's going to record himself doing all this stuff because he's local boots on the ground. And then he's going to create the course, how to be the driveway gigolo, the power washing gigolo, and sell courses online.
Jonesy for the win. Clearly, he slept in later than I did today.
That's a good one.
Generating machine, you. Look at you.
That is great. It's funny. Masterminds do great things. I mean, you get so many great ideas when you put people's heads together. And the rule is this, that there are no rules. There's no such thing as a wrong answer or a crazy idea. And I've made money with other people's crazy ideas. I've done that in the past. So, there are things that, like for instance, I know a guy who worked out to get all the coffee grounds from all the Wawas. There's a lot of Wawas. And he provides them with a barrel where they empty all the coffee grounds. They don't go in the trash. He comes by twice a week and he brings these barrels. He fills up a truck with coffee grounds and he spreads them in a field. And he's got like this tractor thing that he spreads them and whatever. And he just tills them under a little bit of soil and they start composting. And there are some really great elements that get produced when coffee decomposes. So it's basically a composting business. And he sells that compost, little bags of it, for $10. He does not charge Wawa to take the coffee grounds, but he gets tens of thousands of pounds each week from Wawa. He's doing them a service. They're happy that they don't have to hire anyone to haul away their coffee grounds. But when he sells his compost, which is the best of the best, he's making $10 a bag.
That's like a variation of the guy walking around collecting cans and turning them in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only on an industrial scale.
Yeah. Only all the cans are at Wawa, and
Jeez, what a great
they're all in
idea.
one spot.
Yeah.
That's not even a side hustle. That's a business at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, that's when you can fire your boss. That's when you can fire your boss. All right. Item number 2 of how a side hustle or a small business and go full time, is endorsements. Endorsements. Every time we talk about the mastermind group, every time we talk about like this past week, I've had more than a few people say to me, man, I wish I could have made that conference. And I hope they're having one next year. Because we really started, like us anyways, we really started pushing this thing a little bit later. And I'm glad that we're picking a date. And for the 2025 conference, we're going to start recruiting ASAP for that. But for many people, they already had plans and they couldn't go. And no one's going to have an excuse for April of 2025. But all of those calls and emails that I got came from my endorsements. My endorsements attracted about 8 people altogether. I only had a few show up, but about 8 people. What if everybody talked about the impact event for a year? And everybody had between 3 and 8 new attendees. We would have to have a room twice that size.
Oh yeah, yeah. And once people get to know it, you can't help but fall in love with Ken. He's such a great guy and all.
Yeah.
And you become loyal and you stick with him, and it's just like an incubator for great ideas and goodwill. Actually, I don't think there was one. Well, okay, so 99% of the people in that room were perfectly normal, nice, business-minded people seeking to better humanity.
Yes.
Maybe 1%, like, where did that guy come from? Another planet? But they're harmless, folks. You just don't put your fingers near them. They might bite them off or something. But
Right.
other than that, man, everybody, and I'm only kidding, everybody there was just great, you know? And yeah, as soon as we get the date, man, I know I'll be there that weekend. And even though I'm only an hour and 5 minutes away, I'm going to stay on the property this time, because the good stuff happens after the event, before the event, and during the event. You want to be there for all 3,
there's multiple levels of relationships that happen at conferences. I'm going through a book right now that I've been talking about nonstop for a week called The 2-Hour Cocktail Party. And it's subtitled Building Big Relationships Through Small Gatherings. And the small, like when you go to a conference, you got all the masses of people in the room, and then you go to lunch. Some people go off on their own, and then other people work as pairs or little groups of 3 or 4, and little deals are being made. There's hands being shook. At the end of the conference day, everybody goes to the lounge for dinner. They have their dinner, they have a couple drinks, whatever, and I know there are hands being shook during that time, a small gathering. So there are things that are happening in the small gatherings that surround a major conference day.
Oh yeah, I've personally made deals at events like that. You're downstairs. The thing ends at 6 at night. You're downstairs till midnight or 1, talking to people, wheeling and dealing, getting to know everybody, exchanging business cards. Deals are made then. Sometimes you go back home, you get on the phone, takes a call or 2, and next thing you know, you got some kind of joint venture going.
Yeah,
It's a catalyst, is what it is. Just like Jonesy is a catalyst.
That's right.
These events are.
I'm the joint venture junkie and conversion catalyst right here.
There you go.
I'm living proof of the handshake deals that come from these events and these summits and the masterminds. The 3 of us are proof. That's between Frank and I, that's how conversion chemistry started. That's why Fire Your Boss exists. These joint ventures I have with, I think it's 8 now as of this week, participants from the impact event. Literally 8.
Yes. Yeah, that's no joke. And then I mean, for people who are into more like new media, people like myself, I mean, I don't have a product yet, but most of my work is kind of like intangible social media. So for me, one of the things that builds my business is having guests on. You guys are guests. I'm introducing you to my audience. There's a fellow in the chat right now, W. Adam Mandelbaum. Brilliant man, living up in New York, had a career as an attorney, does real estate. We have done a couple collaborations that were out of this world, and he and I are going to put our heads together, and he's going to be teaching dirty tricks that divorce lawyers play And that's going to be pretty darn awesome. That's going to be a great collaboration. And Mandelbaum is a prolific author, has a ton of books on Amazon. So as he and I do more work together, people will find his books, his publications, and I'm pretty happy about that. And I can endorse him. Being that we're talking about endorsements, I have worked with him, and I'll tell you what, to have harmony on a podcast is not easy. It's not easy. It really is about chemistry. I've had people where it's like the Chris Farley show, where you ask a question, you're very nervous, the person is nervous answering, and that's very difficult to do. I am lucky, very fortunate to have had people that I have good on camera and audio chemistry with. Mandelbaum is one of those people. We don't talk over each other. He's a great teacher, and it's phenomenal. So I can just automatically endorse him. Anyone who needs his services, I don't even think twice. There's not even a close number second. I automatically, like for instance, Mandelbaum for me has the strategy of preeminence. When I think attorney, when I think legal wisdom, when I think real estate and brokerage wisdom, I automatically think of Mandelbaum. Automatically, he has branded himself in my mind, so I can highly and confidently endorse him. Now, for Jonesy, what are your thoughts about endorsements from people, a common person, a consumer, a customer, and endorsements from a peer, a professional peer? What are your thoughts? Is there a difference between a customer endorsing you and, let's say, a paraprofessional endorsing you?
Absolutely, there's a difference when it's a client, customer, fan endorsing you. That's basically a review, a customer referral, and that's a fantastic use of social proof as leverage for your brand positioning and creating that halo effect around your product or service. Because that's something that other customers are going to be looking for. Even the most basic example of a Google review or Facebook review, like there's a lot of people who research that before they go for a product or service.
Mm-hmm.
And to even take it a layer deeper, they look to see what the negative reviews are, right? Because there's all sorts of types of negative reviews. Yes, some of them may be absolutely true. Some of them may be based on a one-off, not regular experience. Yeah, it can be telling, especially how a business reacts to a negative review. Are they forthcoming? Are they trying to make the situation right? Or is it a situation where the customer may have been batshit crazy, leaving an unwarranted review? Like they go and eat at a Chinese restaurant and they give it a 1 star because they complained about the music, right? That's not really an accurate indicator of that experience.
Right.
And then as a consumer myself personally, and I know there's plenty of others who feel the same way, just from my experience working with clients, is that anybody reading that sort of review will suss it out and then respect the business owner, service provider even more for not only responding to it, but doing so in such a way that was almost tactful.
Yes. Yeah.
So then the other side is peer or professional testimonials, reviews, or referrals, which we'll use the example of maybe like a mental health specialist who has referrals and recommendations from fellow clinicians and practitioners. That's worth absolute gold, because that's somebody saying, hey, I do this for a living. I am a professional. I am a thought leader and influencer and have the credentials. And yeah, this person's the one to go to for XYZ. We'll say that maybe I'm an anxiety counselor and I'm going to refer somebody who specializes in substance abuse.
Yeah.
But we both had the same level of training, and I'm now recommended again with that halo effect.
Yeah.